The world is a mirror, forever reflecting what you're doing within yourself. Neville Goddard. This isn't just a nice idea. It's the reality that shapes your life. In my personal development journey, everywhere I look, there is one principle that I always keep coming back to. One principle that governs all of reality. And this principle is known as the mirror principle. See, when I finally mastered mirror principle, I was able to break free from the 9-to-5 grind, built a 7-figure business, and was able to finally stop living paycheck to paycheck. But here's the truth that no one is telling you. The same principle that can set you free is actually being used against you by those in power. Look, it's not a new tactic. Let's go back to the days of slavery in the American South. In the 1800s, slave owners kept their slaves docile and obedient by feeding them scraps and fatty foods, things like pork fat, offcuts of meat, and cornmeal. This high-fat, high-carb diet became a form of control, keeping slaves physically full, but mentally and spiritually drained, too tired to revolt, too complacent to fight back. Over time, this diet evolved into what we now call soul food, but its origins are rooted in keeping people submissive and easier to manage. And here's where the parallels to modern life get eerie. Dr. Robert Lustig's research has exposed how the food industry today is doing the exact same thing, pumping processed foods full of sugar and chemicals that hijack your brain's reward system. These foods flood you with temporary pleasure, spiking your dopamine, but leave you sluggish, addicted, and easier to control. It's the modern version of keeping the masses docile through comfort food, just like the slave owners did centuries ago. But food is just one tool in the elite's arsenal. The media works the same way. Edward Bernays, the father of modern propaganda, laid out the blueprint for how governments and corporations manipulate public opinion through fear-based narratives, constant distractions, and sensationalism. They keep us glued to the external world, never questioning the deeper truths within. And the science backs it up. Dr. Lisa Barrett has shown in her research that your emotions don't just reflect your reality, they actually create it. Your brain constructs the world around you based on the internal state that you hold. When you're constantly fed fear, anxiety, and scarcity, that's the reality you live in. This is the mirror principle live in action. Your outer world is just a reflection of your internal world. And here's the truth. The elites have been using this principle to keep you trapped. They manipulate the reflection, keeping you stuck in a cycle of fear, scarcity, and distraction. But once you understand the mirror principle and take control of your inner world, everything changes. The reflection will have no choice but to follow. In today's video, I'm going to show you how the elites have been using the mirror principle against you, and more importantly, how you can reclaim it to create the life that you've always wanted. Let's get started. So to begin with, I want to share with you the potency of the mirror principle. If you consistently and persistently apply it, this is what could happen with your life. So I want to share with you a story of one of our clients, Shams. So if you look at this screenshot right here, Shams has been with us for slightly over a year. He's been working together with us in our Reality Mastery program, which is for entrepreneurs and business owners, where we help them create their realities, but mainly scale their businesses by learning methods of reality creation, like visualization, like mirror principle that I'm sharing with you right here. So in the instance of Shams, what he was able to do was completely miraculous. He was able to go from 4K a month to 33K a month in 1 year in his car detailing company. He also went on to lose around 42 pounds. He also feels a lot more happier and present to the moment. When he posted this in our customer community, I actually commented asking, hey, what do you think was the main thing that contributed to this? His answer was, thanks Quazi, I strive to embody the mirror principle, acting as if success is already achieved. Depending on the situation, I channel different facets of my alter ego. So this is the crucial part here. Using the mirror principle, but not just using it, actually deeply understanding the 4 laws and using it consistently. So today I'm going to share with you just that in hopes that you can get results just like Shams. Let's get started with principle number 1. What you have to understand is that the mirror of reality is dual. What does that mean? Just like a normal mirror, one side has the image that you present to it, the other side presents to you a reflection. So for us, the side that we're seeing right now, the reflection that we're seeing right now is limited. It's the physical world, but it also has a non-physical side to it. The image that we present, the internal world that we can tap into, is the non-physical side that contains the all space. I want you to really remember this. The all space is what's referred to as the quantum realm, where every single possible combination can be manifested. When we tune into it through what I'm going to share with you with our hearts and minds, when we are energetically tuned into a particular sector of reality, we stream it into existence. When we're tapped into it, we present that image to the mirror of reality. Once we present that image and hold it for long enough, the mirror has no choice but to reflect. So now let's talk about principle number 2. What actually chooses that sector of reality? What is it that makes one particular sector of reality and not another one? Why are you this and not that? Well, that's because the reflection that you're seeing right now in the mirror is formed in the unity of heart and mind. When our thoughts and our feelings come together, when there is a congruence in what we're thinking and how we're feeling, we form a very powerful reflection in the mirror. The mirror of reality immediately begins to reflect that which we feel unity towards. So for people who are very deep pessimists, if you look at their lives right now and you ask, hey, why is he like this? It's very clear to see that this person, all they do is complain about their circumstances, about how they're a victim and how society has failed them. They have 1,000,001 different situations to blame. And because of that, because they truly believe that, they feel deeply that they have been let down by society and they blame society. They think thoughts of society letting them down. Guess what happens? That's what the reflection is that they're seeing. When they fear losing money and they fear going back to where they started, they always keep experiencing that same pattern in their lives where they're constantly in debt or they're constantly failing businesses and they're constantly taking out more loans, and the same pattern keeps happening. They keep attracting the same toxic relationships over and over again. They can't seem to find the partner that they want. Why does this keep happening? It's you. It's the thoughts and feelings that you have. And it is these thoughts and feelings that's causing this. People, when they start to learn about the law of attraction and personal development and start to practice all of this stuff, the number one reason people never get any kind of result is because there is an unclear image that you're presenting to the mirror of reality. What do I mean by that? You're lacking unity in heart and mind. You think one thing, but you feel another way. So let me ask you this. When you've started to practice something and you haven't quite seen the results yet, let's say in my instance, I intended for business success to happen. I wanted to quit my 9-to-5 and I wanted to start up my own business and have the kind of freedom that I wanted. When I thought about all of the things that I would have to do and what I'm not good at, immediately when I thought about business and starting up a business, what did I think? Well, I want to get away from the 9-to-5. But I have to do all of these things that I don't really know how to do. I have to learn all of these skills that I don't have. I was focusing on the don'ts and the can'ts instead of I can and I will. When I first used to think about the thing that I wanted, I always focused on what I couldn't do and what I didn't want. And the more I focused on what I couldn't do, what I didn't want, even though my thoughts were focused on the business, there was a misalignment in my heart and what I felt. So ask yourself this, when you try to manifest money or you try to create the kind of relationship that you want, what is the thing that you're focusing on feeling wise? Are you focusing on, see, this happened again. I keep failing these jobs and not making any money in sales. This pattern just keeps happening and I don't know why. Instead of taking responsibility for it and changing that pattern consciously, you unconsciously fall back to the same old stories that you've been telling yourself. And that's why you keep experiencing the same reality you've been experiencing. Nothing changes because you don't change first, because the image doesn't change first. How can you expect the mirror to smile if you don't smile first? Right? That's the reality of it. When I experienced true success in my life, it was when I was able to change that internal conversation and the stories that I was telling myself. So I went from looking at what I wanted to get away from to what I wanted to move towards. It's kind of like having target fixation. Have you ever been on the highway and you look at the car next to you and you're like, hey,
I want to move away from that car. The more you focus on moving away from that car, the more you actually move towards it. You steer towards that car. Why does that happen? Human beings, we have this servo mechanism, as Maxwell Maltz would put it in psychocybernetics. We have this servo mechanism that we're target fixated. We're target fixated creatures. It doesn't matter what we want to move away from and what we want to move towards. Whatever we focus on, we're going to move towards it. So when I change my focus from I want to get away from the 9 to 5 and I want to get away from being a corporate slave and trading in my time for money and just doing something that I hate every single day, that burns me out, that I have no passion for whatsoever. Changing my focus from 9 to 5, hate, to business, freedom, love, success, passion, joy. Focus on that, focus on that, focus on that. Once I shifted my focus to that, that's what I started to move towards. I had clarity of image. Okay, you need clarity of image in what you're trying to create. The number one reason why people struggle is because they have improper unity in heart and mind. They think one thought, but they're focused on something completely different. And so you throw mixed signals to the mirror, which in case it can reflect a distorted image. You're kind of half in, half out. You kind of move 2 steps forward and then 2 steps back. If you're someone who's been seeing this kind of pattern of Groundhog Day, like I'm moving 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, it's because you're not in complete alignment with your thoughts and feelings. And the solution is very simple. But there's a second part to this that's causing improper results and improper unity, which is understanding the third principle of the mirror, the delay principle. It's because you haven't consistently thought about with heart and mind. You haven't thought feelingly about the thing that you want for long enough. This is crucial. So this brings me to the third principle of the mirror, which is known as the delay. Because of the nature of reality, when we concoct an image in our mind's eye, when we have a dream, we can immediately think about that. We can access that state right now. You can close your eyes and picture up a visual of it right now. But in this material reality, because matter is so inert, because of the quality of matter, it takes some amount of time to arrange matter. Time works harmoniously with space. That's why they call it space-time. To properly use the delay principle, we have to understand the relationship between the image and the reflection. So if I think about something for a particular amount of time, I'm going to first start to see it happen in reality. Then I start to think about it even more and feel deeply into it. It is going to start happening in my very own life. That's exactly what happened to me. I visualized my successful business, my wife, the house that I wanted to live in, everything. And I focused in on that feeling that I felt once I had everything. Waking up in the morning and feeling just so deeply fulfilled. I felt rich first internally before I became rich. And that's what you need to do. That's how you can use the mirror principle. The delay principle of the mirror is as follows. If I present an image to this mirror, the mirror will reflect that image with a time delay. What is that time delay, you ask? I have no clue. Depending on the complexity of your goal and your current lifeline, where you are along the path of achieving your goals. So for example, if you are worth 999 million, it's going to be easier for you to become a billionaire. Easier for you to reflect the image of a billionaire than if you don't have a cent to your name. So it depends on the complexity of your goal and how far along you are from that ultimate goal in the first place. Does that make sense? That's what you need to do in order to understand the delay principle of the mirror. So guys, what I want you to do right now is just go to the comment section, leave me some of your takeaways so far. I know I don't pause these videos to engage with you, but I'm trying my best to. So I would love to know what your takeaways are so far. If you watched the mirror principle video that I've done before, or just through this video, what do you understand about the mirror? Just leave me a comment below and let's return right back to it. So this time delay, I want to demonstrate this through using a graph, if you don't mind. On the x-axis, we have t for time. On the y-axis, we have image/reflection. If you look here, we have two different depictions, right? We have two different graphs. The dotted line is the reflection, which is what we're seeing in our reality. And the solid line is the actual image that we're presenting to the mirror. So if we say that you're making an intention, so you start here, you make an intention to, let's say in my case, I wanted to make 20K a month to get away from the 9 to 5 and experience the life of my dreams. I knew the number for me was 20K a month. If I had 20K a month, I could experience the freedom, travel as much as I wanted, live where I wanted, have a partner and also support my partner, and like we could do whatever we wanted if I just had 20K a month. So that's what I focused on. That was the goal. Now, let's say I keep focusing on 20K a month, but my attitude keeps getting lower and lower because I keep focusing on it, but nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens. What's happening is reality already starts to reflect my attitude. Even though I may not see it come into fruition, it's still reflecting it. Reality goes from 0 to 100. But coincidentally, what's happening for most people is once they get to the point where they're just about to give up, they're right about to give up, the thing comes into manifestation. The reflection actually forms. And you only see the reflection when the peak of it has manifested. When it's time to show up in reality, it shows up. But by now, you're at your lowest point. You're right there about to give up. You didn't have any faith that it would happen. You just kind of focused on it. You're like, oh, come on, happen, happen, happen. And then at the first sign of a setback and an obstacle, you're quick to express your dissatisfaction. And guess what? The mirror starts to reflect that dissatisfaction as well. You don't trust reality. You don't trust life. Oh, okay, here you go. Here's the reflection that life isn't trustworthy, that life isn't working for you, that 20K a month isn't going to happen. The more you complain, the more you get things to complain about. What's funny is now reality starts to reflect that with a delay. So right around the time when you get to that point where you're grateful for everything that you have, reality then gets to the point where it's all shit, it's all back to crap again, and you're back to square one. You lose that 20K a month, that income doesn't keep coming. Has that ever happened to you? You've gotten a job or you've gotten like your business to a certain level. One month you keep doing well, next month you go down. Why do you think this is happening? Your external inconsistency in your reality is solely a reflection of your internal inconsistency. You fluctuate. You move up and down with life. You can't step beyond your thoughts and feelings. You give in to them. You are your thoughts and feelings. You're nothing but a bundle of thought and feeling. You have to become strong enough to take a step back from it and realize that this too shall pass. This too shall pass. And when you don't react, when you don't give the setbacks any meaning, you don't look at the reflection, you don't glare at the reflection, you don't get lost, guess what happens? You get more of that. This is the mirror principle. And the key to using the third principle of the mirror is simply consistency. Consistency and detachment. Detach until it forms. Do not judge the reflection yet. It hasn't fully formed yet. How can you judge a baby that's been in the womb for 3 months and it looks like a fucking dinosaur? You can't. You have to wait until the baby's fully formed into a beautiful human being. Otherwise, it's just a little peanut in there, right? God's work isn't done for you. So stop judging it. Have some faith. It's going to happen. If you see minor setbacks, just turn away from the reflection, focus in on the image. I can't tell you how many times I've had to remind myself of that. If you're working on building something great, focus on that long-term optimism and get rid of the short-term pessimism. Many times in my business when I wanted to grow and I made the intention to grow, I noticed that life throws me all of these tests. Just when I started to get some business momentum, an employee wants to quit. Just when I started to gain some momentum, my house floods and I can't work on my business. I have to work on repairing my house. I can't tell you how many times that's happened. But through those are the tests that life throws at you to see if your internal state will be unperturbed. You become unshakable. The reality that you want has to manifest. And that's how I got to my first 20K a month, my first 100K a month, my first 200K a month. The business keeps growing because internally, I'm still. Be still and know that I am. So that's the third principle of the mirror. Now, the final principle of the mirror really summarizes how to properly use it. And it goes deeper into what it actually reflects. I know I shared with you in number 2 that it reflects heart and mind. But what about the heart and mind? What unity? Unity of what? And here's the answer to that. The mirror reflects your attitude towards yourself and towards your world. Now, my attitude towards myself is called self-identity or identity. My attitude towards my world is called the paradigm that I have. So, for example, if my attitude towards my world is that my world is a terrible place, right now is a terrible time to start a business, the markets are crap, and there's going to be a recession, then that's exactly what the mirror will reflect. And I will see more cases of why it's such a bad time to start a business. My attitude towards myself is, it may be a good time to start a business, but I am not capable. I can't do it. I'm not confident enough. Oh, I'm just not that kind of person. That's my attitude towards myself. And that the mirror will reflect as well. To understand how to influence the mirror properly, we have to understand at all times what we believe about ourselves in relationship to our world and what we believe about our world, okay? So the attitude we have towards ourselves. If we're self-loving and we understand that, I may not have all the skills right now, but I can develop these skills. I just need to be persistent. I just need to continue to persist in my intention. It may not be the best time right now, but I know there are people out there who are becoming very wealthy during a recession. There's tons of companies that have become billion-dollar companies during recessions. That's when they were conceived. Just research. Look at that. You'll find what you're looking for. And the best reality creators are the most biased. And the poorest reality creators, do you know what they try to do? This concept called power versus force. People who suck at reality creating and they always blame external circumstances, they look at the mirror and they try to shatter the mirror, or they try to shake the mirror to try and change the reflection they're seeing. They try to only take massive action. They just start fighting, and what they do inevitably is burn themselves down to the ground. The fuel that they're operating on is very weak. If you have positivity and you focus on higher vibration and you know how to control yourself internally, how to tap into that at all times, guess what? You're going to be run by power, not force. And so there's this great concept of power versus force that I learned from David R. Hawkins. And he basically says that power seeks not to impact the world directly. Force seeks to impact the world directly. Force is a win-lose when I try to benefit by making someone else lose. Power is a win-win. It seeks to benefit the world and benefit yourself because you too are part of the world. So in this instance, I always remind myself, what is the power move? Instead of trying to tackle the obstacle directly and trying to take massive action to tackle whatever obstacle I'm going through, I actually pause and remind myself what's happening. What image am I presenting that's leading to this reflection? Let's change the image first and then do what's necessary in the moment. And 99% of the time, the problems get solved. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever noticed how when something becomes really, really important, let's say you have a goal to make 20K a month or 10K a month in your business, or like you started something and then it becomes so important for you to make 10, 20K a month. And every single thing you do, there is just so much importance. This game has become so intense and so important. And you just keep facing setback after setback. Like everything just seems to go wrong. At that moment, what I want you to do is just take a moment, just take a step back and just assess, what image am I presenting to the mirror that's causing this? What am I putting on a pedestal that's causing this? All obstacles will disappear as soon as you lower your importance, as soon as you take it down a notch and you start putting it up on a pedestal. It's like when you have a crush on someone or you value someone, you put them on a pedestal. They have no choice but to look down upon you. Don't look up at someone. Don't look down upon someone. Look to them as though they're your equals. We're all created in the same flesh. So the final thing I wanted to share with you is what's known as the mirror cycle. So along with this delay, there is a cycle that most people experience with the mirror, and successful reality creators know how to use this cycle and where to begin this cycle. Here I have this beautiful but empty diagram to demonstrate to you how this process of reality creation works. So for most people, what they're doing right now, okay, pay close attention to this. Where they begin is with an observation. They begin looking around them at the reflection that is already there. And this is ridiculous because please remember, the present is simply the delayed reflection of the past. So all of the delayed attitude that they had in the past, all of the complaints, all the shitty things that have happened in the past, all of the unconscious choices that were made, that's the present moment. So they look at present moment, bills, job I don't like, stuck at a revenue level. They observe it and they use that to form their image or their attitude. So I'm going to write image here. And by image, you know I mean the internal attitude, the thoughts and feelings that we present to the mirror. When they form the image, the mirror has no choice but to reflect it. And so it reflects and forms reality accordingly with the image reflection. And then they observe the reflection again, and then they keep staying stuck with this. So this is the vicious feedback loop most people are in. They look around them, they're like, oh, bills. Oh, job I don't like. This sucks. I hate this. I hate this job. I hate the bills. I hate all of it. I hate staying stuck here. I've been stuck here forever. Oh, you've been stuck here with this revenue level? You've been stuck here at this job? Here you go. Here's more stuckness. Here's more bills. Here's more of this current revenue level that you're at. Damn it, it keeps happening again and again. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And then you try the different tactics and strategies. You try the business strategies. You try
starting up a new drop shipping business, a new funnel, or a new ad strategy, and nothing works, right? Like it clicks for a little bit, it gets you all excited, but then you fall back into this pattern because you can't make an internal change. There is no foundational change happening for you in terms of your worldview and your identity. So the way to do this is to reverse this process. For most people, they begin here. This is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. This is the cycle for the puppets. If you want to become a reality creator, this is how you reverse this cycle. And this is what I had to do. We begin here with the image that we'd like to form. We turn away from the reflections. We turn away from looking at our current reality because we begin to realize what's around us right now was merely formed from decisions made in the past. You have to realize this, or else nothing will change. If I want to form tomorrow, I choose today consciously. So we begin here with the image. And when we choose the image and we say, hey, this is what I want and this is what I have, the mirror has no choice but to begin reflecting it in little amounts, little by little. Little changes will happen slowly with a delay. And then what we do now, instead of observing, is we confirm. We peek. We simply peek into the mirror to look at, hey, what's working? Oh, this is working. Oh, look, that has happened. Oh, look, I wanted to be a confident person here. Look, people are receiving me much better. Oh, look, I wanted to improve this aspect of my business. It's improving. I wanted to improve this aspect of my golf game. It's improving. Your whole world could be breaking apart, but you only focus on the things that you'd like to confirm. The things that correspond with this worldview and identity that you've chosen to craft. And then you keep using that. And I swear, the more you keep doing this, it snowballs into something that is going to be beyond anything you've imagined. Like when I started off, I didn't want a 7-figure business. I didn't want any of this. I just wanted it to have freedom from my 9 to 5. And all I needed to do was earn $5,000 a month to be able to replace what I was getting paid in that dead-end engineering career. That's what I wanted. But now we're doing 6-figure months, which was completely blew my mind how all of this stuff works. So if you begin to use these principles, your life will completely change. I can promise you that. Okay, so now I want to share with you 3 case studies of clients of ours who have used these 4 laws of the mirror to completely and drastically change their lives. Let's begin with our client Tia. When Tia joined us, she was in 6-figure student loan debt, and she was working 2 full-time jobs, 80 hours a week, and in one of them, she couldn't even stand up to her boss because she was doing something she didn't like to do. So she was mainly struggling with a lack of confidence in herself and lack of clarity on how she would get out of it and how she would create what she wanted for herself. And she has kids, she has a husband, and she couldn't spend any time with her family. After we helped her operate through these 4 principles and shift her identity, get clear on what she wanted and only focus on that. Remember, law number 1 of the mirror laws. She now makes $40,000 a month with her own business 2 years later. And she gets to spend more time with her family, more time with her children. And she's very passionate and very happy about what she's doing instead of stuck in 2 dead-end jobs and feeling burned out. Take our client Louise, who has her own marketing business. And during the pandemic, her old job was deemed completely irrelevant and it was wiped out. So she transitioned out and tried to start it and grow her business, but she couldn't make it past the 6-figure mark. She was stuck around $10,000 a month. And what she was lacking was clarity and, as a result, confidence. She couldn't present her services with certainty. She didn't know where to get clients and she didn't know who she really wanted to work with. After working together, after implementing the mirror principle, she now makes $30,000 a month doing what she wanted. And by the way, principle number 2 was very important to her because she was about to give up and she was completely done with it. And all of a sudden, just when she was giving up, boom, everything started to fall right into place because she eliminated all of the importance and all of the meaning that she had to whatever she wanted to do. Number 3, take our client Bastian. Bastian was an agency owner with his own digital marketing agency, and he was doing around $20,000 a month when he joined us. His biggest problem was the niche that he was working in. He was completely not passionate about it. He hated it, and he was just unclear about the direction he wanted to go in. And he also had a big case of self-doubt. When he presented his service and his offer, he wasn't confident in himself in whether or not he would be able to get the result for his client because he wasn't confident and he wasn't clear around what he wanted for his life. After we helped him fix that, implement the mirror principles, he's doing over $500,000 a month now. He's completely changed as a person. And this mirror principle, learning how to observe and confirm the cycle, was super important to him. Okay, so now you understand one of the deepest principles of how reality actually operates, the mirror principle. If you continue to correctly apply this every single day in consciously choosing your attitude, you're going to be shocked at how quickly your reality changes. Although you won't notice as much since you are changing, others will look at you in a few months and years and they won't be able to recognize you. So if you would like to take this teaching deeper and actually implement it with one-on-one support with me and my team, then I have some really good news for you. Right now, we're looking for a few committed clients to work closely with to get extraordinary results for, like one of my clients, Z, who recently went from almost not having a place to live in with their child, making 5 to 6K a month, to now, 10 months later, after working with us, 3xing their income to 16.5K a month. And now has an amazing home to live in and actually was able to go to Maui for their kid's 6th grade celebration. There's going to be a link right here to fill up an application to see if you would qualify for our mentorship. Just a quick heads up, not everyone will qualify for this due to the close nature in which working with our clients, we're looking for a certain caliber of clientele because it would really have to be the perfect fit, because the better the fit, the better the results. So please make sure to fill up your application with as much detail and depth as possible. If you qualify, you'll be able to schedule a free consultation call to develop a custom 12-month game plan to achieve your goal just like Z did. So I'm looking forward to seeing your application. Thanks.